So welcome back to another video. This is TeamOverclocked, and today I'll be explaining why do AMD FX CPUs have bad single core performance. Now, single core performance is pretty important since a lot of games still rely on it, and lacking it is something important to know about. Now, why exactly is it true? Now stay tuned to find out. Now, this problem is most prominent in the AMD FX series CPUs like the famous FX 6300 and the FX 8350. Now, this problem often leads to bad performance compared to Intel CPUs at similar price points in gaming. First off, let's go back to 2011 when AMD announced its Bulldozer FX series of CPUs. Now, some of the major AAA titles of the time were Crysis 2, The Witcher 2, and Battlefield 3, which are all fairly taxing for what they were. Now, all these had a dual-core processor as their minimum requirement, and they're recommending a Core 2 quad for the higher-end gaming. Now, if you consider this, it wouldn't be wise to release a 6-core CPU, let alone a CPU with poor single-threaded performance, considering that for most games, it only required about 2 cores. This is already looking bad for AMD at this time, especially considering that the Intel offerings were outperforming it in a lot of games back in 2011. Fast forward to 2016, and we were just beginning to get good support for multi-core games like GTA 5 and Battlefield 1, especially with DirectX 12, but even then, the majority of games in the market only support dual and quad cores. So let's get into this. Now, what makes this core so weak and bad for gaming? Let's start with the design. The AMD FX series chips have a design where there are 2 cores in one module. So an 8-core FX 8350 has 4 modules with 2 cores in each of them, making it act like an octa-core. Here's where the problems begin to arise. Although each module has 4 ALUs or arithmetic logical units, which equals to about 2 ALUs per core, they only have 1 floating point unit per module, and they share L2 cache. Now, this causes a single core performance to drop because the cores have to wait for the resources to be freed up when another core is using them, and this causes most of the cores to get stuck in a queue. The Intel Core i7, for example, has 2 ALUs, 2 FPUs per module/core. Now, this means that the FX 8350 has 16 ALUs and 8 FPUs compared to the Core i7's 8 ALUs and 8 FPUs. Now, if you think about it, 16 is bigger than 8 ALUs from the i7, so the FX 8350 should have an advantage, right? Well, not exactly. The longer pipelines on the FX 8350 make processing things slower, so the performance once again is downgraded slightly, and this once again creates a slight bottleneck for the cores. Now, another problem to this is Windows itself. Now, when Windows sees a FX series CPU like the FX 8350, it sees an 8-core, 8-thread CPU, so it treats it like one. It will assign tasks to each core individually because the cores are in pairs and they share resources that way. But this causes stalling because the cores are sharing the resources, and since they only have about half the resources per core, this may cause stalling since one core might be using all of the resources while the other core has to wait until the resources are freed up, and this overall makes the CPU slower and more inefficient. In fact, when you run 4 cores instead of 8 cores on the FX 8350 in Cinebench, it actually has a higher multi-threaded score and renders videos just as well as if all 8 cores are being used, and this really points to the poor design of the chips and the poor optimization of Windows for these chips. Now, in the future, AMD is definitely looking to solve these problems. We can probably see, based on how Plurus turned out, that AMD will definitely make these chips much more efficient and have much better designs. Now, the new AMD architecture is AMD Zen, which will probably come out in 2017. Now, since AMD has learned from their mistakes based on their presentations, this new CPU lineup will be vastly more efficient and will have a better design, which will eliminate a lot of the problems that occurred with the bulldozer style of CPU. So yeah guys, that's all for today. If you liked the video, please overclock the like button. If you didn't like it, please dislike this video and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.